Here is my fully restored 1945 standard Cadet. It took a lot of work to get it looking this good, but it was worth it, for sure. As you can probably tell by the date, this is not the original tank. This tank came from a Compton that was broken. I figured that instead of installing my usual tank parts, I would put in authentic antiques, because they look a heck of a lot better and they still work. So this is the original handle from my 1958 standard Compton. This is the original ball cock from my 1936 standard Modernist. And unfortunately, this flush valve does not really have any sort of epic history. It's just a brass flush valve. So it took a lot of work restoring this ball cock. I'll tell you exactly how I did it at the end of the video. This toilet has an absolutely amazing flush. I remember during the test video there was a clogged rim jet, but I don't remember which one it was, so I did not take care of that. But anyway, onto the fill valve. So that was a lot of work. I guess I'll take the lid off so you guys can see it while I'm talking about it. So first things first, you might have noticed that it has a screw through it. So basically what I did was I had the ball cock, I took all these screws out of it, and this one broke off. You can see there's a little bit of the old screw still in there because I could not remove it. So I tried to make that little piece hold the rod in place, but that didn't work. I tried probably for about 10 minutes, and I eventually just gave up on that and decided to put a screw in it. And then I took this little seal piece out, and there's a little part in there that screws the seal into it so you can actually remove it and replace the seal, except this seal was 88 years old, so it was hard as a rock, and I pounded it out with a screwdriver, so that really wasn't very hard. But then I looked inside the fill valve, and the little tiny hole where the seal presses to shut the water off had a chip out of it. So I took a metal rod and some sand, and I put the sand in the fill valve, and I turned the metal rod around, just grinding the sand over the hole like sandpaper. And that was very, very tedious, and it made my arm really sore, but it worked. And so then I cut a piece of silicone out of one of those Chinese flappers that come in Glacier Bay toilets, and I used that to replace the seal in the fill valve. So everything was looking good. I put it back together. Oh yeah, but before that, it was completely full of dirt, so I had to poke rods through it and spray the hose in it and clear all the dirt out of it. And then I put it all back together, and I moved the rod up and down a little bit and it felt good, so I decided to put it in my newly restored tank. And so I did, and then I put the nut on to tighten the valve in place, and it didn't fit. The nut did not fit on the fill valve. So I was disappointed and frustrated, and I thought that the threading must have been damaged because I had to file it a little bit. And so I tried another nut and it did not fit. I tried another one and it didn't fit. I probably spent like 30 to 45 minutes trying different nuts and trying to make them fit. And eventually I thought, you know what, this would make a great decorative piece, and that's exactly what it's going to be since I can never install it. And so I took a hacksaw and I cut just a little bit off the end of the valve. And I tried putting the nut on again. It didn't work. So I shaved a little bit more off. I put it on again. It did not work. And I was about to throw this thing through the wall. So I decided, let's try the original nut that came on it when I found it, so I can see if the threading is damaged or if it's actually a different size. So I grabbed the nut and I put it on, and it worked. It fit like a glove. So you can probably see that down here. It looks very old. I filed down the threads as well, and so it is actually a different size, which is why I took the coupling nut that came with the original supply line. Thank goodness I saved that. I put this with a washer in it, connected that to a copper pipe. Then I used a supply line nut and I connected that to some threading from another fill valve, and then I connected that to my supply line. So that was a little hard to understand. Basically, I've got the big nut up here connected to a copper pipe, then a standard size nut connected to the copper pipe. The standard size nut connects to just the threading from a fill valve, and then that connects to my supply line, which is the standard size. And since it's a copper pipe, this thing would slip out and it would spray water all over the place. So I cut some holes in a pill jar so that I could screw it on there and it wouldn't be able to pull it off. And that lid is bending, so I think eventually it will. And it actually doesn't leak. The only part that leaks is my supply line itself, which is kind of funny. So yeah, that was a lot of work. Took me about 2.5 hours. A lot of frustration. Gave myself about 3 cuts on my hand. But now I have a working 1936 standard ball cock. I don't know many people who can say that. So it does actually say standard on it. I don't know if you can see it or not. Probably not. But I can assure you that it does indeed say standard. So anyway, that is it for this video. I am very, very happy to have this restored, and I'll be putting it in a safe place for this winter. So anyway, if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe and turn on notifications. It helps my channel a lot and I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video.